Chapter 2. Entrance Requirements. Discovering the correct language tests and other required exams is the next item on your agenda. Depending on the university that you're applying to and your field of study, there are several entrance requirements that you will have to meet. These include requirements such as a high grade point average or GPA and passing standardized tests. In some cases, particularly for postgraduate studies, you might need to show proof of contribution to publications. That being said, the language tests and standardized tests are the most important and widely covered entrance requirements. As such, that is what we'll be covering in the next 2 chapters. With that in mind, it's important to find out whether or not your preferred universities offer courses in English. For most international universities, this will be a given, but for others, they might only teach in their country's official language. Be aware of the fact that some universities will require you to prove your English proficiency level by way of an English certificate or language test. However, this is not a rule of thumb for all universities. Some institutions will offer language preparation courses for students before the commencement of the main program or degree. On the other hand, if you have a credible professor who can vouch for your language skills, you might be granted conditional admission whereby you will take the language test after the application deadline. That being said, almost all highly credible universities will have you learning a language at a specialized level and presenting the test results thereof. Side note: the number of programs being instructed in English around the world increases each year. 2021, for instance, saw a growth of over 27,000 programs being taught in English globally. This makes finding higher education opportunities abroad that much easier. Why is language proficiency important? Now, it should be clarified that language proficiency requirements are not there to ostracize anyone from a program. They are there to make sure that you will understand the lectures, assignments, and other coursework. To avoid the unnecessary issue of failure or dropping out, a credible university will go to every length to ensure that you will be able to comprehend the work presented to you and that a language barrier won't interfere with your studies. Let's look at a hypothetical scenario for a second. Suppose you would like to enroll in an English-speaking academic institution in a place like the United States, Canada, Australia, or the United Kingdom, and you come from a country where English is not the official first language. In that case, you may have to prove that you can handle English as the primary instruction language for your particular coursework. There is also the issue of being able to communicate with your peers for the purpose of carrying out group assignments. So, all in all, the language proficiency tests are there to benefit you as well. The last thing you'd want is to end up with a failed course on your hands simply because you couldn't understand the language it was being taught in. For different languages like German, Russian, Spanish, French, etc., there are official tests and certificates that a university may request. While you're studying for your secondary school or your undergraduate degree, you'll find out what tests are necessary to continue your education in your field of study. Getting ready for these tests is one of the substantial steps in the admissions process. You should find out the correct test and gather information on the test resources, test methods, and everything else about 2 years before the commencement of your first semester. How to find relevant testing information. You can always check the university's website to find out the requirements for both domestic and international students. However, if you can't find what you're seeking, it's always best to get in touch with your preferred universities well in advance to get this information. If they have an office for undergraduate or graduate studies, this would be the department you want to reach out to. They'll provide you with all the information regarding what additional documents you can attach to prove your language proficiency and which tests you'll have to take in lieu of that proof. Here's another term to learn. The phrase "in lieu of" means instead of. Here's an example. I used my blue pen in lieu of my black one. If you want to go the extra mile and make sure you have the insider scoop on what to expect, look for an official Facebook group that is geared toward international students who attend your university of choice. You might be able to get in touch with some great people who will offer insider insight. The bonus is that you'll have a whole support system when you touch down. As a caution to you, and you need to take this one seriously, there are lots of predators out there looking to take advantage of people who are new to the area. Never give your personal details away on groups like this, and make sure your profiles are set to private mode. Don't meet with anyone when you arrive other than on your university campus. Take your time to gain your bearings and get to know people in a safe manner. What standardized tests to expect? Standardized testing is an important part of the university admissions process. It allows admissions officers to gauge whether or not you meet the requirements for entry. Ultimately, it helps prepare you for your studies and also gives administrators a clearer understanding of how to advise you in terms of elective subjects and so on. Common standardized tests include ACT, American College Testing, SAT, Scholastic Aptitude Test, GMAT, Graduate Management Admission Test, GRE, Graduate Record Examination, LSAT, Law School Admission Test, MCAT, Medical College Admission Test, DAT, Dental Admission Test, TEAS Test, Test of Essential Academic Skills, and OAT, Optometry Admission Test. In Chapter 4, we'll be going over these in more detail to help you mentally prepare for the prospect of having to write these tests. All of that aside, you can also search for standardized tests by region or country to give you a broader sense of what you might be up against. From there, get clear on 3 things. 1. Are you willing to learn a new language or expand your knowledge of a certain language in order to pursue your degree? 2. If you're planning on settling down in that country, and even if the university offers language lessons, is there something you can do to start increasing your language proficiency before you leave? And 3. Are you aware of the standardized tests that might be required of you, particularly if you're delving into a specific profession? It's all about continually defining your objectives and your vision of what you want the outcome of your studies to be. End of chapter checklist. Tick off each box when you feel that you know the answers to the questions with the utmost certainty. Do I have a list of all the entrance requirements, such as minimum GPA, publications, and so on? Do I know the language that my course will be taught in? If not, is there still an opportunity for me to study at that particular institution? Am I aware that even if my English is impeccable, I might still be asked to prove this in a test? Am I willing to sit those entrance tests even if my language skills are above board? And am I aware of all the standardized tests for the universities of my choice? To learn more about standardized tests, please visit our website, www.radviser.com.